Well, hi, folks. I'm Chris Dorr. I'm the director here for Florida Gun Owners. And in this short video, I'm going to talk about the two candidates running to be your next Congresswoman from right there in Congressional District 13. We're going to talk about the two candidates. First of all, we're going to talk about Democrat challenger Whitney Fox and where she's at on the Second Amendment and all the issues that we care about. And then I'm going to jump over for a few minutes and talk about Paulina Luna. She's the Republican incumbent here. And I'm going to put a little I right next to her name there so you guys remember that. We'll talk about her because we have some bills that she has co-sponsored that we can objectively look at and say, well, this is pro-gun or this is anti-gun. Little hint for you. She didn't co-sponsor any bills that are anti-gun, so that's fantastic news. But let's just dive into it. First of all, let's talk about Whitney Fox here. She is the Democrat challenger, and there's a saying in life that goes something like, you can tell a lot about a person by who their friends are. Boy, is that the truth with Whitney Fox. Let's just jump right into it. She is endorsed by Michael Bloomberg. Okay, Michael Bloomberg is the godfather of gun control in America. He finances the gun control movement nationally and at the state legislative level. We've been fighting him in state legislatures all across the country. So that's a big fat red X on Whitney Fox's record right out of the gate. She's also endorsed by Giffords Gun Control Organization. This is the organization started by former Congresswoman from Arizona, Gabby Giffords. After that shooter nearly ended her life, she started a gun control organization to push for more gun control, even though it never stops any criminals or killers. So they are jumping on board the Whitney Fox train here. And also Brady, the Brady campaign, endorsed Whitney Fox. The Brady campaign is like the original gun control organization that was formulated in the 90s. And they were very successful. Unfortunately, they passed a lot of nasty stuff. They are getting behind Whitney Fox as well. So you have to ask yourself, if they believe in all this gun control policy, what does Whitney Fox stand for? Let's jump into that policy right now. She supports universal gun registration. This gives the government, the federal government, the ability to track, trace, and register gun owners like they are sex offenders. So here's the thing about her universal gun registration bill, though. It does not apply to criminals. It does not apply to rapists or murderers or violent criminals of any kind. It doesn't apply to them because they never line up at their local sheriff's department and register their guns anyway. That's a fact of criminals. They don't follow the law. So since it doesn't apply to them, why does she support universal gun registration? I'm glad you asked. And all you have to do to know the answer to this question is turn on your television. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will tell you daily that they want to ban assault weapons. Or in Kamala Harris's case, she talks about mandatory gun buybacks, folks. Both of those are simply gun confiscation, just different way of phrasing it. They want to confiscate all kinds of firearms. Joe Biden says that. Kamala Harris says it. Back in the day when the Democrats used to hold primaries to decide who the Democrat nominee for president was, people like Beto O'Rourke used to stand up there on the national debate stage and say in front of the entire country, hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15s. The problem is they can't do that. They can't enact their gun control dystopian dreams if they don't know who owns what guns. That's what universal gun registration is. It outlaws the private sale of firearms between two free individuals, and it gives the government a list of every gun and gun owner in the country. Whitney Fox supports that, okay? That's bad news. That's why we gave her the red X there. She also supports a national red flag gun confiscation law. Well, we know all too much about red flag gun confiscation here in Florida, thanks to a bunch of rhinos that passed it back in 2018. But they want to do this at the federal level. And in case you've never been red flagged before, this is what it's all about. This gives anybody the opportunity to petition a judge to have your firearms taken away from you without you ever being charged, tried, or convicted of a crime. The first time you know about it is when your front door is getting no-knock raided at 5:30 in the morning. And here's what we've seen. This is particularly being weaponized against people in divorce court and child custody court by embittered exes or whatever, trying to gin up support for their child custody cases. Happens all the time here in Florida. They want to do this on the national scale. But here's the real dirty secret. The radical left wants to do this and use this against their political opposition. We say absolutely not. Hell no. Whitney Fox also supports mandatory gun lockup laws. We all saw the video clip just a couple of days ago where Kamala Harris openly said that the purpose of these gun lockup laws are so that state and government agents can invade the sanctity of your home. That's Kamala Harris's words, not mine. That's what Whitney Fox wants for Congressional 13. They can invade the sanctity of your home and do government gun inspections to see if you are storing your firearms in a way that they have deemed necessary. Now, this is really rich. We went back and looked on Whitney Fox's social media channels. Never once, when Joe Biden and his corrupt administration pulled out of Afghanistan, did she say that leaving $8 billion worth of real weapons of war on the streets of Afghanistan was a bad thing. And now the Taliban terrorists are holding parades. They're showing this stuff off like crazy, and they're using it against Afghan allies. Again, this is the Taliban terrorists are using our guns against our former allies right there in Afghanistan. But Whitney Fox, she didn't say a thing about it. She wants those same people to be able to come into your home and do government gun inspections. Oh, yeah. And by the way, it's the same government that, the same party. She didn't say anything against this either. Remember during the Obama years under Operation Fast and Furious, the U.S. government sold machine guns to the Mexican drug cartels that were then later used against American citizens and Border Patrol agents. Just Google Brian Terry. Did Whitney Fox say anything about that? Of course not. Of course not. Because it was her party. They don't care about it. They just want the authority to be able to come into your home. So we say absolutely not on government home invasions. By the way, that's a total violation of your constitutional right to be secure in your person from unreasonable searches and seizures. But that's Whitney Fox. She also supports banning AR-15s. They call them the assault weapons ban. Well, here's why. The AR-15, or the American rifle, America's rifle, is an excellent tool to tell tyrants no. All right, AR-15s, but she doesn't want to just ban AR-15s. She wants to ban all semi-automatics. We're talking Ruger 1022s, Remington 1187 shotguns, Glock 43Xs that so many people use to defend themselves and their families. She wants to ban all of them because like I said, firearms are excellent tools to tell tyrants no. Our founding fathers, in addition to being great human beings, they were also historians. They could look back in history and see that, oh, governments have a tendency to become corrupt and become tyrannical. They could look ahead into the future, too, and realize that it might happen here in America as well. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So there's always people that want that kind of power. So they decided to codify the Second Amendment and the Bill of Rights as a long-term deterrent on tyrants ever enacting their sicko fantasies. That's why they came up with the Second Amendment and codified it in the Bill of Rights. People like Whitney Fox, they don't like that. They don't like the fact that you can look right back at the 20th century and realize that governments murdered over 100 million innocent citizens worldwide because those people couldn't defend themselves. And she wants that for America. That's why she wants to ban the ability to defend yourself with firearms. So to that, we say absolutely not. The whole purpose of the Second Amendment is simply this. Killer criminals are bad. Killer governments are far worse. And the Second Amendment that Paulina Luna wants to defend, the one that Whitney Fox wants to attack, it's the one thing that protects all of our other freedoms. So she gets another red X for that. We already talked about gun lockups. Let's do mandatory gun buybacks. This is what Whitney Fox, again, right here, she wants to pass this. Mandatory gun backs is straight up gun confiscation. We talked about that when we talked about universal gun registration. Mandatory, and I've seen some of the dollar amounts that they're throwing around out there. They want to give you like $200 for a rifle and $100 for a pistol. And by the way, the checks that they knock at again, universal gun registration, it gives them a list of every gun and gun owner. They can show up at your door and say, hey, we know that you own this gun and this gun and this gun. Go get them. We're going to struck you a check for $400 for all three guns. And by the way, that's your own tax dollars being used. The whole purpose of mandatory gun buybacks is to try to legitimize their tyranny. This all kind of adds up to this right here, a great big fat F grade for Whitney Fox. She's earned it. None of what she supports is American. And it's time that America rejects that kind of bullcrap. Let's jump over and talk about Paulina Luna here for a second. She is the Republican incumbent here. I want to end this video on a good note. So let's talk about Anna. What's really jumped out about Anna Paulina Luna is that she's willing to go on the attack, on the offense, rather than just being a bench warmer. So she has co-sponsored House Resolution 6734. This blocks the ATF, the lawless ATF's unconstitutional rule change that would have given them the ability to force every firearm sale in America to go through the gun registration system. That's fantastic. The ATF does not have the arbitrary bureaucratic power to simply decide that we are going to start a national gun registration scheme. So she came out and co-sponsored this bill right here. That's fantastic. That's exactly what you want to see if you love the Second Amendment. She also co-sponsored HR 3492. I'll give her another big check mark there. This is the Gun Owner Information Protection Act. We don't believe in government maintaining lists of guns and gun owners. Neither does Anna Paulina Luna, incidentally. And that's why she co-sponsored this bill. That's fantastic. She co-sponsored HR 2502, which this one is like so basic and common sense. We're very glad to see that she did this. It repeals the Federal Gun-Free School Zones Act. All right. How many times do we have to have it now where these insane killers target these gun-free school zones? Okay, we need to get rid of the prohibition, let that become a state issue, and let individual school districts decide what they're going to do. It's been passing in states all across America. You get qualified, trained teachers that are already at the places where we send our most valuable possessions, for lack of a better term, referring to kids, and let them be the people that defend against these killers. In Parkland, Florida, the sports coach, his name was Aaron Feiss. He's a concealed weapons license holder. He would have gone through the training if some of this stuff was available. His firearm was out in his car because he wasn't allowed to carry it. And on that day, on February 14 of 2018, he had to he put his body, his own life in front of those bullets rather than just pulling his own firearm and smoking that dude. So she co-sponsored that. Fantastic. Here's another beautiful piece of pro-gun legislation that she co-sponsored. HR 38, one of the first bills that gets introduced to every Congress. This is national reciprocity. If you have a firearms license or a concealed weapons license or a concealed handgun license in one state, it should be good in the next state. That's common sense. Honestly, that's Anna Paulina Luna. Let's give her this grade right here. She scores an A. She's a very vocal opponent of gun control. Her actions as a congresswoman have been rock solid, especially when you look at her co-sponsorship bills list. And we love that. So here's a couple of things. Number one, if you see Whitney Fox out there on the campaign trail, just walk up to her and tell her, look, Whitney, this isn't like 1940s Germany or Italy or Japan. This kind of crap doesn't go around here. Maybe you can go across the pond and talk to those sissy Brits in England about sponsoring this kind of gun control, but it does not go here. We're talking about her. Oops, wrong color. We did not do that. We're talking about this lady right here, Whitney Fox. Tell her this stuff just doesn't go around here. This is the land of the free and the home of the brave, and this is the gunshine state of Florida Congressional District 13. If you see Anna Paulina Luna out there on the campaign trail right there, tell her thank you. Just walk right up to her or walk up to her campaign staff and say thank you so much for not being a bench warmer in this culture war that we're in. Thank you for being staunch, and we encourage you to do more of that going forward. We're talking about Anna Paulina Luna here. So folks, that's what I've got for you. Please share this video with all of your pro-gun friends right there in Congressional District 13. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there's a lot on the line. And it seems like every election season, my entire life, people used to say, well, this is the most important election of our lifetime. Well, I think we're getting close. And we need the gun vote to turn out big time on November 5th. So that being said, please round up your friends, your real ones, your fake ones, your social media friends, your neighbors, loved ones, coworkers, fellow church members, your barber, your hairdresser. You see what I'm saying? Head down to your local polls, and on November 5th, vote pro-gun.